I entered the foster care system when I was 15 years old. I initially entered through the medical program. At the time, I was in remission for bone cancer. So I had a nurse. She was so sweet and just so like maternal and amazing. And she would take me to my appointments. I just remember feeling very comforted because it could be very overwhelming going through that. When she came back, she had shaved her head.
Gosh. Oh.
And she said, I'm not letting it grow back until you get better, because you will get better and your hair will grow back and we're gonna grow it back together. My mom and I just held each other and cried. We just cried. It was devastating. Everything I've gone through, while unfortunate and really hard and challenging, those challenges put me in the path of folks who became part of my resilience. I'm now in social work. I'm about to graduate with my MSW.
So congratulations. It's amazing.
My diplomas, so my high school diploma and my college diploma, which are hanging at home, I think they really represent just these two milestones that I would not have been able to accomplish without all of the support and just amazing staff and team at Children's Aid.
We're a good place to start to help people find what they need that's going to help them right now.
Every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
Hi, I'm Georgia Booth, Executive Vice President at Children's Aid, and welcome to the second season of Every Step of the Way. So this season, we're going to hear more from our alumni through the eyes of the programs that they've participated in. To help me with this episode is our Vice President of our Health and Wellness Division, Miss Rhonda Braxton. Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, Georgia. How are you?
Oh, good.
I'm so happy to be here. Such a
Awesome.
thrill.
And with us is Miss Karina Melendez, an alumni of Children's Aid and an alumni of our medical foster care program. Hi, Karina. How are you?
Really good. How are you?
You look lovely.
Thank you too. Nice to meet you in person. Hello.
I know, that's right. Karina Melendez. Hi, Karina.
Hi, Karina.
Hi.
It's so wonderful to have you here.
It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, awesome. Karina, you have been a participant in Children's Aid. Can you tell us, how did you come to be in Children's Aid?
Yes. So I entered the foster care system when I was 15 years old. I initially entered through the medical program because I am, at the time I was in remission for bone cancer. And I kind of was behind due to a lot of stress and just financial and personal stress that my family was undergoing. I was kind of very much behind on a lot of my checkups and follow-ups medically. So I entered first through the medical program at Children's Aid. I was also in a kinship foster home. But I entered foster care at a time when my mom was really struggling, and it really impacted her ability to, care for me. And at the time, my teachers in high school took a notice in what I was going through, and so they made that difficult call. And I've been in with Children's Aid until I aged out at 21. I guess we can talk about that later. But through all of the support that I've gotten, I've just been able to really accomplish so many milestones, including graduating high school, first in my family, graduating college, Columbia University, and actually securing housing after I graduated college. So I'm honestly so grateful for everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That truly is amazing. Karina, for those who may not be familiar with foster care, our foster care program exists to serve kids who are, whose families are having a difficult time, as you articulated, and may not be in a position to take care of them. And so through the Administration for Children's Services, kids come into foster care, and our goal is to try to reunite families if we can, or if that's not possible, to help children find forever homes, or, as in your case, you left foster care as an independent student. So far, it seems you've done really well for yourself, and And that's really awesome.
Rhonda, do you want to talk a little bit about our medical foster care program?
Sure, I'd love to. So, our medical foster care program is very unique in New York City. We're one of a few agencies that are fortunate enough to have it and to offer this to our young people. It is comprised of physicians, psychologists, psychiatrists, but most importantly, nurse case managers who work with the families and the young people to provide wraparound services and care. So we have little children and babies in our medical foster care program, but we also have teenagers and adults that we provide intensive case management. We make appointments. Our staff go with them to the appointments, coordinate care, assist with the caregivers and how to meet their medical needs. So really, we provide wraparound services for the children in our medical foster care program.
Might be biased, but they're incredible services. I'm gonna say so myself.
Thank you. It is an incredible team, I have to say.
It is, without a doubt. I think our case planning and nursing team are, one of the best in the city, and I'm just incredibly proud of the work that they do.
Item that I wanted to mention is that we really try to focus on possibility and not limitation. Mm-hmm. So we recognize that every child in our care, regardless of their medical condition, has the ability to succeed and thrive. So we provide those support services and navigating the healthcare system. Even for people who know the healthcare system, it's really hard to navigate. So for us to be able to provide those one-on-one services to families and young people during what are sometimes very difficult times, it's really a service that I'm very proud of. So, Karina, how did Children's Aid Medical Foster Care Program assist you in your journey?
There were several ways. You mentioned like all of the different wraparound services. So, and I did start within the medical foster care program. I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 10 years old, with bone cancer at 10, and I went into remission at 12. So by the time I entered care at 15, I was already in remission for some time, and I went into remission at 12. So by the time I entered care at 15, I was already in remission for some time. And so it was really about just getting back on track, getting those follow-ups, making sure that, my long-term health was still intact after that intensive chemo that I received. And once, so I had a nurse, I believe her name was Sonia. She took me to she was so sweet and just so like maternal and amazing. And she would take me to my appointments, and they were all day appointments. Like we were in there from morning to evening because they would just try to get all of the tests done, at once. And so she accompanied me and, kept me company. And it was just I just remember feeling very comforted because it could be very overwhelming going through that. Things were back on track, and my doctors confirmed that I was okay health-wise. I was no longer in the medical program, had to say goodbye to Sonia, but I'm glad she, was able to work with someone else who really needed her. While I may not have been under that program strictly, I did benefit from the mental health services at Children's Aid. It was actually the first time that I had come into contact with therapy and with mental health care. At the time, as you can imagine, it was something I really needed. And it's something that I can, I'm now in social work. I'm about to graduate with my MSW.
Woo-hoo!
So
Congratulations.
That's
It's amazing.
So it's something that I've carried with me. The skills that I learned, what I learned about myself and how to manage what I was going through really helped me at that time, and also just, subsequent to that, everything that I went through after. So, and it, inspired me to go into a mental health and into the social work field. So the medical foster care program has impacted me in so many ways that I can't say thank you enough for, really.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah. Not to have you rehash the whole history, but what was it like at that age, given everything that was happening, in your family, to get that diagnosis? And
I feel like there was the before and the after. It's like COVID, before COVID, after COVID. And I'll be honest, I remember very little about my childhood before getting diagnosed. I do remember, obviously having way more mobility in my leg. It was pretty devastating. I had like an injury on my leg that just was not healing. And so my mom, took me to get x-rays, and they sent us to Memorial Sloan Kettering for like a second opinion. And I remember the day, seeing on the door Cancer Center
Wow.
and just being very like curious, like, why am I here? That's not me. I didn't think of anything of it. I was still kind of like, whatever, we're at the doctor. But I remember at the end of that day, we were in a room and the doctor told us, and she left me and my mom alone. And I was sitting on a little spinny chair because I wanted to spin around on it while we waited. My mom and I just held each other and cried. We just cried. It was devastating. At the same time, I was so fortunate because my mom was my everything. My mom sacrificed so much to put her all into taking care of me. And it was, I'm sure it was, I still, when I reflect on that, I think about how that, I think, started sort of a domino effect that led to, 4 or 5 years later, the need to enter foster care, right? Because the financial burden, the stress, the challenges that, you know, that the person goes through who has cancer, but also their support system. My mom went through a lot of difficulties. She was there 24/7. She made her entire life and existence about me getting better. And I think once we got out of that, things did start to kind of fall apart for us. We ended up needing to enter into the shelter system. It was just a very difficult and stressful time for my mother. And she coped with it in the best ways that she could, which unfortunately, wasn't the healthiest ways. And it did impact me. And it got to a point where people noticed, and I entered the foster care system. But I was very lucky at the time that I was battling cancer to have such an amazing mom, and I still think my mom is an amazing mom. I think people suffer and people struggle, and it doesn't mean that they are not good people or that they are not good parents. And I love my mom, and I think, and I'm forever and eternally grateful because, my mom, I'm kind of going on, but I remember I lost my hair, and, Latina girl, long hair, it's like a thing, you know what I mean? And so when I started losing my hair, it was such a big crisis for me. My mom, I remember I was getting, we came in for a round of chemo, and she said, I'm going to be right back in a couple hours, just chill out here, I'll be back. And when she came back, she had shaved her head.
Gosh.
Oh,
And she said,
So
I'm not
sweet.
letting it grow back until you
You-
get better,
yeah.
because you will get better and your hair will grow back, and we're going to grow it back together. The photos of that time is very much my mom. My mom with her shaved head, me with my little, they would call me kiwi head because I had little fuzzies. And for sure, she did not let it grow back until my hair was growing back. That was the kind of mom that my mom was. She was 100% invested, mind, body, soul, in my healing. And so I'm really grateful to her for getting me through that time.
I imagine it was really difficult dealing with the major illness and life changes. What was there one that was harder for you than the other, or?
I think the hardest thing for me was the way that it impacted, that everything that I had gone through impacted my relationship with my mom. Because she was truly my rock.
Right.
She was truly like, even when we were in the homeless shelter, we were in a bunk bed together. Like, I had my mom, and she always sacrificed for me. As I entered foster care all the way up, just until a couple years ago, honestly, we had a very strained relationship. And that was very difficult for me. And I'll be honest, it was partly my, as a child, I won't give myself too much blame, but it was also anger that I had towards her, because I think it was misplaced anger. I think I could say now, reflecting and having gone to therapy and done the work, I can understand, and I can see, like, my anger at the time. I was very resentful about it, and I blamed her so much. And I put the blame, I think society in general tends to do this. We put the blame on the individual and not on the systemic things, the things that are the challenges that they have to go through, right? At the time, I was very angry with my mom, and we had a very poor relationship. And that was really the hard part for me, because she was my whole entire support system. We are in better terms now. She's also done her work and therapy, and we've come to a place where we can be there for one another, and I'm grateful for that. But I would say that was the roughest part. Yeah. Because, I had cancer, I was homeless, I had my mom.
That's beautiful. I'm so glad that you guys have reconciled and you're in a different place right now. How did that experience, your experience growing up, going through all the things that you've gone through, how has that shaped who you are today?
One thing that people tell me a lot is that is like how resilient I am, and they'll often like comment on that, on me being resilient. And it took a while. Actually, it took now that I'm completing my social work degree. I learned about resilience. I was interested in this topic. How can we build resilience? How do people in general build resilience? And I learned how resilience is relational, and it's through relationships. Everything I've gone through, while unfortunate and really hard and challenging, those challenges put me in the path of folks who became part of my resilience, right? Like they became part of my community, my support system. And that has shaped me so much because I was never very good at asking for help. And now I'm, much more adept at doing that and counting and relying on my support, right? And be part of, be part of others' support group in that same way. The resilience I've been able to build, but through other people. And all those experiences, while they were unfortunate, I always believe everything happens for a reason. Some people hate that saying, but I really believe it because when I reflect on everything I've been through, I'm like, oh, yeah, this happened to me, but then I met this person, this really amazing person who took me here to this next level. And then, this other bad thing happened, but then I learned this lesson. And now I'm able to apply that moving forward. So I think in general, it's just helped me, have more perspective about all those challenges. Yeah.
Was there one particular instance or incident that kind of caused this shift for you that made you feel a little more resilient or made you realize that your life was kind of on the ascent?
I would say it was when I graduated college, and I'll tell you why. When I graduated high school, that was when I thought, oh, life is on the up and up. Like, this is like, I'm going to Columbia. Everything's going to be great now. No more troubles, no more challenges, right? We're good. That was not the case. I had a really rough time in college. It took me 6 years to finish a 4-year degree. At a point in time, really was not, taking proper care of my mental health. I wasn't relying on my my supports. I thought, hey, I'm good now. Like, I don't need to be bothering people anymore. Like, I'm good. I could do this on my own. And I was wrong. And at one point, I moved upstate. I went upstate for a little bit and to stay with some family there. And I started going to therapy. And my therapist, I had a mentor, Eva, who has been amazing. I met her in high school, and she's been so supportive. She even, when I came back from that leave of absence, my kinship foster parent left the state, and Eva opened her doors to me to come and stay with her. But at this time that I had taken the leave of absence, I had gone a whole year not speaking to her because I was ashamed of myself. And my therapist at the time, kept telling me for homework, like, call Eva. And I would come back every week and tell her I didn't do it. And one day she handed me the phone and she said, call Eva right now.
Tough
and
love.
I called her. And I was so scared, and I thought that she was going to like berate me and yell, and be rightfully so. And the first thing she said was, "Oh my God, Karina, come home, come back. We miss you. We love you. Whatever you're going through, we can get through it." And I did. I ended up coming back to Columbia. I was this close to transferring out because I really thought that I wasn't cut out for it. I wasn't cut out for the Ivies or whatever. I got accepted to a small college upstate, but after that phone call, I went back home and I enrolled back into school at Columbia. And that first semester, I ended up on the dean's list.
Wow.
And I met my community. I started living in what they call a special interest community. So I kind of found my people.
Yes.
And, I met friends that I still am in touch with to this day. And things just kind of really turned around. When I graduated, I think that was the moment where, like, we thought we had it together. We still had some things to work out. But now I feel like I'm in a place where anything is, like, I can really take on anything. as long as I don't run away from my people, right? I've taken that with me, and I still, I feel like things have gotten much better. Like, life is not perfect. You're going to have things come up here and there. But I feel that my resilience is that much stronger because of that experience that I had.
When you were in college at Children's Aid, I think maybe we had about 10 or 12 kids in college. Today we have 60 kids in college.
That's incredible.
Many of whom are doing great, but many of whom are also struggling. What message would you give those young people, knowing that many of them are having some version of your story when you were in college? What would you want to say to them as they're struggling to find their own sense of resilience?
That it's okay not to be perfect. I would want to tell them that they are doing amazing right now. And there's so much pressure, especially when you're in a situation like these kids are in right now, in terms of like, being in foster care, going to college. There's this pressure to be perfect, to need to succeed. Like you need to, or else, there's that or else in the back of your head. And I would just want to tell them that they are doing so amazing. Just the fact that they're even in college is such an amazing accomplishment that I think folks sometimes they overlook. I remember we did the success luncheon. There was like a luncheon that Children's Aid does every year for the kids in college. And I talked to some kids and I was telling them, like, and I asked everyone in the room, who thinks that they're a success? Who thinks they're successful? And nobody raised their hand. And then I, talk to them about like what I think success means. And success to me is you're able to be in a place in your life where you can turn around and help someone else behind you. Just by being in that room, being college kids, think of all the young people who are aspiring to go to college, then now you can turn back and share your experience and tell them that they can do it because you did it. That's success. And when I asked the same question at the end of my speech, I had a few more, not everybody, but I had a few more hands. And so I would want to just pass that message along of like, what you're doing right now is so hard and so difficult, and you should be proud of yourself. And progress, not perfection. I think that was one thing in my head. I thought I had to be perfect. If I wasn't perfect, if I didn't get straight A's, then it was not worth it. But that's not true. And absolutely to lean on your people, find your people, and then don't be afraid to lean on them. Because I think another thing that I know I struggled with was asking for help. I thought I had to do everything on my own. When I was young, there was always that, don't let folks into our business. Don't air out your dirty laundry. They don't need to be in your business. No, it's not about that, right? Like, it's okay to find people who are safe, who are supportive, and who can help you because nobody does it alone. That was another thing I learned. Even the kids who were expected to go to Ivies because maybe their parents went to Ivies, I would look at them and they were getting plenty of help and support, right? So why not us? We deserve that too.
That is so beautiful. This message of reaching back, help folks to see a path forward, because you're absolutely right. Like so many kids in foster care, they've been through so much up to this point. They can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but the path from here to there just feels like it's so far. And they're not always sure that they can make the next step or, climb the next mountain. But they do every day just by, as you said, by doing the things that they're doing every day and working through the difficulty of it, right? That is life, right? That is just life. It's life for you. It's life for me. It's life for everybody. The path is not always smooth. There are going to be, small rocks, big boulders, huge walls. You have to, try to get around and get through and walk over. But the most important thing is like, you don't ever stop, right? You keep going, right? Even when you can't see what's ahead, like you keep going. And you're such an incredible example of, not just what resilience look like, but this concept of no matter what, you keep going, right? And look at where you are right now. And I want to say thank you. You may not know is that Karina not just has a job and is going to school, and she finds time to come back and go to lunches with our college
nice.
student and our high school students. And she wants teachers in the public school system to understand what it's like to have a child in their classroom who's in foster care. So she goes with Dr. Triplett and the head of our education program and other staff in foster care and prevention to help administrators understand. So thank you for being just such an incredible example of what it means to to give back and to have that as a purpose in your life. It's truly beautiful.
Thank you.
I also thought about with your story how it really does take a village, right? And I think Children's Aid and our medical foster care team really provided that village for you until you were able to realize that everyone needs a village, and then to also find your own village, whether it was with, reconnection or connection with your family, your friends, your teachers, finding your village at Columbia eventually, and that's when, I think there was a little pivotal point there for you. And you're providing that village for other foster care children at Children's Aid. So I selfishly hope that a little bit our medical foster care team, child welfare team helped with creating that village for you, and then you took that forward. And I'm very incredibly proud of all that you've been able to do, and hope that we continue to instill that sense of passion and courage and progress to all of the young people that we serve. Yeah. So, Karina, did you happen to bring an object with you that represents your time with Children's Aid or makes you think of us?
Actually was not able to bring something today because they're hanging up on my wall right now and I didn't want to bring them down. I'm not the handiest person. But my diplomas, so my high school diploma and my college diploma, which are hanging at home, I think they really represent just these two milestones that I would not have been able to accomplish without all of the support and just amazing staff and team at Children's Aid. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing. Rhonda, what did you bring as your symbol?
Well, I happen to have it right here. It's this wooden block that has a picture of Sojourner Truth, and it says, "Truth is powerful and it prevails." This was actually a gift from one of my colleagues at Children's Aid, and I keep it in my office. It reminds me of the power that we all have from within and the services that we're able to provide to young people in order for them to feel empowered. And Georgia, what did you bring?
I brought that little blue square right over there. Can you pass that for me? Sure. I brought this blue square because it has a Children's Aid logo on it. And the Children's Aid logo is so akin to, my, beliefs and values in the work that we do. The little dot is the child. And at Children's Aid, we try to uplift children and youth. And the second kind of semicircle is the family, because we know kids don't, come to us by themselves. They're part of family units, and we want to be able to help support and uplift families. And then our hope is that through the work that we do, we're impacting the overall community. And that is the bigger semicircle that's there, because we don't do this work alone. We do it in partnership and in collaboration. And ultimately, if we can make our communities stronger places that families can be supported and our young people can be held up, they have the best chance of success, whatever that means for them. Karina's story to me is typical of a lot of the children and youth that we see in the child welfare division, and I'm sure that you see whose families are struggling with lots of things, including the impact of, a serious health diagnosis, right? I wonder how many young people are out there right now who are struggling with medical issues, mental health issues, economic issues, the challenge that they and their parents are experiencing right now.
Unfortunately, I think Karina's story about the need for support services is not unique in this city. We are very fortunate to be able to provide services for the community. I hope that as more people hear about Children's Aid and Karina's story and the services that we're fortunate to be able to provide, that they will find their way to children's aid so we could provide those wraparound services, behavioral health, medical services, and really address the social determinants of healthcare that are so prevalent right now. So I was joyful to hear Karina's story and the impact that we had on her life and how she's giving back to the community
Yes.
and how it really made a difference for her. And it's another reason why it's my why I come to work every day. A lot of families now, not only are they experiencing extreme medical conditions, but there are other factors that have a negative impact on their health. They could be experiencing homelessness, food insecurity, immigration concerns, outside stress. All of these things can negatively affect your physical being and your behavioral health. It's so important that we're able to provide services for the communities to be able to address these issues and to direct them to other resources that Children's Aid has or may not have directly, but we have partner agencies that we work with. So to really provide services to meet all of the needs of the community.
At a time when the cost of everything is so great, families are struggling with the cost of housing, having adequate housing, the cost of food. $100 just doesn't go as far as it used to anymore when you go to the supermarket. If you have a vehicle, the cost of fuel to put in that vehicle to go to work or pick up or drop off your kids, it is so important as we think about the decisions that are being made at the federal level, at the state and the local, that we keep children and families in the front of those decisions. Because a child going to school cannot thrive if they don't have food to eat, cannot learn if they are dealing with where they're going to be at the end of the school day. They can't think about college or even getting a job if they are having to be at home taking care of their younger siblings because their parents either can't afford or can't find appropriate childcare. In a city like New York, where everything is so expensive, we need to remember, all of us as citizens, elected officials included, that, we need the safety net services, the safety net supports for families that are struggling right now. And as our economic conditions continue to change, we hope for the better, but right now people are struggling. And we need to make sure that we're putting those safety net services in place so people don't fall through the net. Because we know what happens when kids fall through the net, right? We know what happens to families. Kids end up in foster care. Young people end up in jail. The warm months are coming. If we don't have things for our young people to do, a way for them to earn a living, that it won't be good. I want to implore all of us out there to, think about our neighbors, think about the kids on the street, think about the folks who live on our block who may be struggling right now. Help them to know that places like Children's Aid exist where they can come and get support. We don't have all the answers. We can't necessarily meet everybody's needs, but we're a good place to start to help people find what they need that's going to help them right now.
Every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
Karina, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure to meet you, to hear about your journey and your success. We wish you all the best in your upcoming graduation. We'd love to have you back at Children's Aid at some point in the future as part of our team. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you so much for having me. It was really such a great time talking to you all. So thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your story. Appreciate it. On the next episode of Every Step of the Way,
we'll be exploring our community schools. They aren't just a place for learning. It's an environment that supports the whole child.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Every Step of the Way. We look forward to seeing you in our next episode.